going on, folks? Manny Oso here. Unfortunately, today you're going to have to do with just my beautiful voice. Nicky Trends had some, let's just call them plans. She got a job. Yay!
Yay!
And she had to be out this time. So instead, I brought back one of our buddies from an earlier episode. Special guest, reintroduce yourself. Let them know what you do.
Hey guys, my name is Matt Senn, also known as WrestleLife Matt. I host WrestleLife Radio with my brother and my cousin. We do all kinds of nerdy wrestling stuff, like we review the most recent episodes, we do some roundtable discussions, and we do independent wrestling interviews, which is always a lot of fun.
Yeah, you've actually been doing some with indie people too lately, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's really cool. It helps them get their name out there, and I get to meet some really cool people. I've been having a lot of fun doing it.
All that stuff is really good to listen to if you guys get a chance. I particularly wanted to have you on because you've been going to these live events for AEW, right?
Yeah.
How has that been during the pandemic?
It's such a unique experience. You know, I've been to 20, 25 wrestling shows in my life, whether they be WWE or AEW shows. Actually, I've been into Daly's places where AEW is doing their weekly shows right now at full capacity. Then I've been to, a few little independent wrestling shows as well. And it's so different. I mean, you go in, you're in this line, the line's 6 feet apart. And then once you get through, you have to get your temperature checked. And they sell the tickets in boxes, basically. So you can either buy as 1, 2, 3, 4, or 6 tickets. And they have them like taped off. So there's no one within 4 seats of you. So
Was the price higher because of that?
No, it's about I get pretty decent tickets for like $35. So it's really not all that bad, and you're not really close to a lot of people. We feel super safe. Everyone's really kind.
It's an open arena, right?
Yeah, yes, outside.
That's how they got to do everything. I mean, I'm just thinking same thing with like concerts and everything. It's good. Once it becomes a little more normal, it's going to have to be open stuff.
Yeah. And Florida's so weird right now because they're trying to, allow full capacity at football stadiums. And I just don't think that's going to happen right now.
That's right. The governor, he's ready to execute Order 66.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. But I'm glad that you were able to go and have fun and report back to us and let us know that they're trying.
Yeah.
What are you hoping for as far as live shows for WWE?
They're running out the Thunderdome in Orlando. They call it the Thunderdome. It's the Orlando Magic Stadium, and that's where they're doing their Raw and SmackDown shows. And Vince McMahon really wants to be the first person to have 100% capacity back again. He always likes to do that kind of stuff. He wants to be the first person to do X, Y, or Z. Yeah. I still don't see it happening anytime in the immediate future. But whether or not he'll be the first, I don't know. But as soon as it happens, he will be at the forefront because he loves that kind of stuff. And it gets him, at the front page of ESPN.
Yeah, right. Anything to cash the check right now.
Exactly.
Speaking of Vince McMahon and his economics.
Right.
That brings us into what actually Nicky Trends wanted me to bring up with you and see where you are as far as what you think about this stuff. So those of you out there, you've probably heard of Twitch and Cameo and some of these live streaming things that get you involved. I guess it gets the celebrity involved with you,
right,
or you involved with them. Twitch is for video games, right?
Correct.
And Cameo is just a special message.
Right.
Yeah. So lately there's been some talk about how McMahon is putting new rules as far as what they can and can't do with that.
Yeah.
If you're out there and you want to know, there's been changes to where he's making it so that the money that they're making off of that is not going to come with like stipulations for them, right?
Yeah, there's a lot to it. And honestly, even though it technically came into place 2.5 weeks ago, they haven't fully released all of the details. And there's so much to unpack.
I remember that something came out that I guess by the beginning of the month.
Yeah, October 2nd.
Yeah, by October 2nd, they were supposed to go with the new rules, I guess.
Right.
And I've been wondering if anybody's been affected.
Well,
you know?
Yes. I mean, you have people like Xavier Woods and Paige and Zelina Vega that have changed their all of their social media to either their real names or a different name that's not their WWE names. So yes, as far as that goes, it has. There have been rumors that WWE wants to start its own Cameo type store that will be its own Superstars. And as far as Twitch goes, basically everyone has changed their name. The only person that I could find that hadn't is Drew Gulak, and I don't even know if he's been on. But funnily enough, that most WWE wrestlers have either completely left Cameo or changed their name to the real name. But the Street Profits, who are the current SmackDown Tag Team Champions, and Lacey Evans, who's on TV regularly, are all listed under their ring names on Cameo, and I don't know why.
I tried looking it up. The only ones that I could find, like you said, a lot of them must have dropped. I saw Jerry Lawler still on there. I guess for $75, he can tell you happy birthday. I mean, I wouldn't mind getting that. A nice little message from one of those guys. Mandy Rose, $250 for a message.
A lot of the girls are very expensive.
Yeah.
So that's just the way it is, I guess.
But the Street Profits, I thought it was funny that Dawkins is $150
and Montez is $125. Yeah, I don't know why. It's weird.
I know, right? I guess it's the extra muscle.
I have no idea. I mean, nothing against Angelo, but I like Montez Ford better, so I'd rather save the $25.
But on the side of Twitch, though, I see that these guys can make like an extra $3,000 to $5,000 a month. And the reason I think that's crazy that they're wanting to take the money away, also obviously because when I did look it up, Forbes was saying that like the lowest a wrestler can make like $52,000 a year.
Oh yeah,
And with everything they got to pay for on their own, that's just crazy that they would try to take away so much money from them.
So Paige is rumored to have made, let me pull it up right here, $50,000 a month from it. So about $600,000 a year. She's one of the more successful ones, but that is a lot of money. A lot of money.
It is.
So WWE just wants a cut of it, basically, is what's going on. I mean, you have an eccentric billionaire who owns the company that says, you know what, I should be making money. And you can kind of see both sides, right? I mean, like, if, The Rock, right? Let's use The Rock because he's a big name that everyone knows. If he is Dwayne Johnson, does Vince McMahon have any right to do this? No. But if he's using The Rock name, which is a WWE property, or was, Vince gave it to The Rock. But if he was using his WWE property to make money, you can kind of understand it. Like if you work for Disney and you're in a Mickey Mouse costume, right? You can't create a cameo and say you're Mickey Mouse because you're not Mickey Mouse. You're whoever you are in the costume. So it's like CM Punk, is Phillip Brooks, even though he owns his own name. It's a bad example, but you can't go out and say I'm Big E. Well, you're not Big E. You're whatever Big E's real name is. So I don't agree with it. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I do understand them wanting to protect their own property. I
mean, believe me, I'm not over here crying over the wrestlers that are making an extra $500,000 making cameo. I'm not crying over that at all. Right. I do think it's interesting that you bring up The Rock, though, because with I think it's a little different when it's somebody like him,
right? Based
on what I'm seeing, because I like that his fame and fortune he's using to get other people employed too, like the tequila distillery that he set up. That got a lot of people jobs down there in the small towns where he's using. Getting the stuff from,
Absolutely. He's doing a lot of stuff for him.
The fact that he's doing his own production for all these films and getting people. I mean, I date someone in production. So when I hear that someone's out there getting people jobs like that, I think it's great that they use their name and the money for that. So it makes me wonder, like, I know some of these guys are only making like an extra $3,000 probably. Because, I mean, who's paying Jerry Lawler that much?
Right.
And I see you, like you mentioned, someone like Paige who's making thousands and thousands on it. I support more the fight of them keeping their money for the ones who are at least trying to live or the ones who are doing something good with it to spread it out.
It's so weird. I mean, Andrew Yang has come out and said that, he's going to start fighting WWE and stating that the wrestlers are not independent contractors and they're either going to have to change, the way the contracts are set up or hire them on as employees. Charlotte Flair, to my knowledge, is the first wrestler ever to hire a sports agent. And she joined the Vayner Sports Agency, who represents Allen Robinson and Alvin Kamara and the first Fortnite champion, whatever his name is. It's a huge agency.
Uh-huh.
So it's going to be really interesting if this starts a trend to see wrestlers have agents represent them and then put them, WWE against AEW and New Japan and try to see who can give the best contract. It's going to be a really unique situation. I think in these next couple of years, there's going to be some major, major groundbreaking changes in professional wrestling.
You think it's going to be easier for maybe like the promotions like AEW for them to bring in their own agents for something like that?
I don't know.
Because, I mean, obviously a fist fight with McMahon is going to be the toughest.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Tony Khan has his own money. I think the agents would be more on as far as like the wrestlers having agents. Mm-hmm. But I just don't – I think it's a big deal to the huge names, especially in WWE. But most wrestlers, to my knowledge – not like I have tons of insider knowledge, but I do a lot of research that work for New Japan and AEW, which are the other two major promotions in Japan and America, are on generally good terms with the ownership. So I don't know, but I feel like Vince McMahon does something crazy every 6 to 12 months, right? I mean, it's always something with him. So if he's saying, I understand that you guys are making hundreds of thousands of dollars, but you can't do that unless you give me a cut, that's a big deal. So I can understand wanting to, hire an agency or, create a union. Paige was talking about forming a union. So I don't know. I do think something is going to happen. They almost had a union 30 years ago until Hulk Hogan shut it down. So yeah. I don't know.
Dang. That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nicky always likes to end anything about McMahon with, I think he's crazy and he's a terrible person.
And she might be right.
Yeah. During this recording, we're about a week away from the next pay-per-view, though.
Yeah.
Are you going to be watching it, right?
Absolutely, I am. Yeah, Hell in a Cell. Come on.
What do you think is going to be the standout match?
Sasha and Bayley. It's not officially signed yet, but it's going to be. That will be the standout match. Those two have been working together for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And this storyline has really been simmering for the better part of a year. And these girls have worked their tails off. I hope they get the main event spot. I don't think they will. I think Roman Reigns and Jey Uso, which is also very deserving, will get that main event spot, which will also be great. But Bayley and Sasha will have an actual finish. And I don't know if the other matches will or not, historically, from the last couple of years at Hell in a Cell. So, but Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks stole the show last year, and I think Sasha and Bayley will this year.
Yeah, I got to tell you, because it's going to be Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And this time they're doing Hell in a Cell.
Uh-huh.
But I got to tell you, I think they're doing the wrong match. That should be a lumberjack match.
You think so?
Yeah, with all the guys that he's knocked out.
All the legends? Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know if they set up – they haven't really set up enemies for Drew McIntyre, so it wouldn't really be fair, I guess.
Yeah, you don't want the heel to have to – that was my problem with the ambulance match, if you saw that. Like, I didn't want the bad guy to have to overcome adversity, and that's basically what happened with all the legends turning on Randy Orton. Yeah, it was weird. It was a good match, but it was an interesting booking decision.
Who do you think of course, obviously Reigns isn't going to say I quit.
Of course not.
How do you think they're going to make Uso say I quit?
I don't think he will. I think that Reigns will destroy him so bad that he will, for all intents and purposes, literally knock him unconscious, and the referee will probably have to call the match at that point. Either that or Jimmy or Rikishi or someone in that family will come out and beg him off and say it for him. Maybe, they threw a towel in at the last one, and it might have a similar situation. I
started laughing when I saw it coming out like that. It's like, wait a second, is When is the last time they ever threw a towel in?
Right. Yeah, it's been a long time in WWE. AEW did it about 6-8 months ago, but WWE hasn't done it as long as I can remember.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I guess it would be nice to see one of the guys come out though, because Paul Heyman's so connected with the Samoan wrestlers in general.
Right.
So it's just like it's like a full circle. It's almost perfect to see him coming out with them, you know?
Yeah, ideally this will somehow lead to Roman Reigns versus The Rock at WrestleMania, as long as fans can come back. The Rock isn't going to come back and wrestle in front of nobody. But as long as there's fans there, we might see that, which would be a ton of fun.
That's true. That's true. I hope Seth Rollins becomes his like other advisor or something.
Maybe, man. I don't know. It's such a hard situation with those two because they have such a history. But they're both bad guys right now, so it would be interesting to see it.
It would be. It would be. Yo, I want to thank you for joining us and making this an interesting conversation.
Oh, it's always fun.
Nobody likes to listen to me talk to myself.
I'm sure that's not true.
Cool. Tell the listeners where they can hear you.
Yeah, you can find us anywhere. Anchor, Spotify, Apple, Google Play Music. Anywhere you listen to your podcast, it's WrestleLife Radio. We've got 70 episodes now. We release 2 episodes, sometimes more a week. And we just, we've been doing it for over a year and we're having a blast. We're not looking at stopping.
I hope you guys don't either. I really don't. Everybody, you can catch me at Got No Time for This if you want to catch me on IG, or you can get us at bubblebathstories.co. You can catch all our new info there, and you can catch us on IG as well at bubblebathstories. So thanks for coming on, Matt, and thank you for listening to us. Thanks, guys. Bye.